Who's got a brag? Who's got some good news to share? A brag to hear? Go ahead, Chris.
I had a message yesterday from somebody interested in selling their property that's been on the market for several hundred days. And I think they had somebody with all the sizzle and no steak. And I sold the property beside them, and there's a beautiful home on it already. It's riverfront. So it'll be a really lovely listing. They seem to like me. I got them snowed so far.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors wins again.
Hmm.
Nice. I like it. Waterfront Chris, that's what they call her. Who else has a brag that would encourage the group? Small or large? Who's got a brag? Let's hear it, Jeff.
Hold on, let me unmute.
That
So
helps.
y'all remember in February when all that stuff that happened with my daughter?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's getting her reattachment surgery is the 29th, we found out today. So it's about
Okay.
6 months ahead of time. So
That's awesome.
yeah, everything
29th,
went,
like Friday?
no, 29th of June.
Okay.
So
Okay.
get rid of her little bag and get on with their life.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
we thought it would take about 9 months before they could even talk about it. And
Yeah,
anyway,
that's fantastic.
yep,
Obviously, a sign of good progress. That's great.
yes, yep.
Beautiful. Who else has a brag? Let's hear them all. Small or large? Who's got brags?
I don't know if this is necessarily a brag because I didn't do a lot, but yesterday in training, I committed to calling all my past clients. Well, one of them reached out to me before I before I called him and said, "Hey, we're ready to sell that condo that you helped us buy. Can you get some numbers for us?" And we're ready to go.
Go team. I like it. I like it a lot.
That's called a PKE, Prospecting Karma Event.
There you go.
Prospecting karma event. That's
Yeah, that's
new. You got one
PKE.
by me.
Yep.
That's new. That's funny. I like it. Who else? Kelly, were you going to say something? You got a brag?
Yeah, I do. So you guys remember me saying I had a slow start this year? Well,
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow I have a closing, a photo appointment, and an inspection, all at 2 o'clock. But things are finally moving up.
I
Good.
love it. Someone, I don't know who said, they'll probably just all pop at once. So here you go. Here they come. Well done. All right, who else? One or two more brags. Get them out, say them, encourage yourself, encourage the group. What are you implementing? What are you learning? What are you closing? Who are you signing? What are you figuring out? What are you getting excited about? Any of those are brags. Anyone?
Okay, okay. So I got a listing. It's all going live here after the meeting. I got a
Like it.
buyer, got buyers yesterday, new build. And then I got a listing with Kevin, my new teammate. Well, they're all new. Kevin,
Yep.
really exciting listing, golf course, retirement community, and he's pumped. That's
Love
what
it.
really counts. Yeah.
Love it. Lots of good things about, it's good to have clients. It's great to have clients with new team members. It's good to have ideal listings so you can market and attract for new clients. Lots of good things there. Lots of good things. One more, maybe. Who's got one more brag for the group that would encourage yourself and others? One more. Who's holding out? Who's got another one? Here come. Here come the others. They're joining now. One more brag. I'm holding out for one more. Anyone? Bueller, Fry. All right. Well, we'll jump into it. Okay. Here is, well, first of all, does anybody have a question that the group could help you with right now? Implementation, just a transactional question, a business growth question. Anybody have a question right now that you'd like to get some input from the group on? Not a one. Okay. Then let's dive into it. Here's my question for today. I'm trying to think of the way to ask you this without it sounding like a question you ask yourself every day. But the strategy I'm trying to get after is knowing your numbers. Okay. This is not a numbers strategy call. This is not about spreadsheets. This is in the moment when you're driving and somebody says, can you do this 6 months from now? And you're like, should I spend that money 6 months from now? I need to have a pretty good gut check understanding of how my business looks right now. How do you think about it? How do you look at it? How do you know? What's your metric for knowing how your business is doing right now? The way I would tactically say that is, how do you look at your pipeline? Do you know what your pipeline is? Do you think I have enough right now, so hopefully I have enough later? Do you just think I don't really have enough right now? Or do you think I have 5 coming soon, I have 6 active, I have 3 pending, I have 2 closing? What? This is an open question for everybody. How do you think about your active pipeline, A, and B, how do you think about your active pipeline in a way that can inform future decision making? We'll cover this from a few different angles, but is this a whiteboard? Do you just say my whiteboard is strong? Do you not think about all stages of the pipeline? Let's just have a conversation here and I'll point us towards some helpful strategy ideas.
I have a worksheet that I use with coming soon, active, pending, everything's on it. So I can kind of
Okay.
tell.
So under your coming soon, for example, do you put any sort of estimate of closing and funding on those or on your actives?
Sometimes,
The more you can do that, right, the more helpful for you to predict revenue, right? So you're
yeah.
like, I got 3 new listings. One of them's probably going to take a while just based on the data and whatever. These other 2 are probably the next 90 day, revenue deal. So I could project out the next 90 days my net GCI, or at least gross GCI, is X amount of dollars. And then I'll know, ooh, that's not as much as I want. So I really need to push it to add some more. Or that's more than my goal. So more is better, but I don't have to push on that side of the process right now. How are other people doing that? Jeff's got a worksheet. What do you guys, what's everybody else doing?
I also have like an Excel worksheet where on the left side I keep track of the closings for the year and how much when I receive that commission, and then that total, that's a working total at the bottom for how much is received. And it also includes pending and a one column over. You've got the estimated for those. So I have my total closed, my estimated pending, and then on this side are all my active clients and a approximate month of when I think they might close based off the timeline they originally told me.
Okay. And then what do you do with that information?
So with the closed ones, obviously I can just see how much income I have made in the bank so far for the year. Pending, it's not mine yet, but it's in the cooker. And then this I know, okay, if I have holes, like okay, I see I've got a few that are scheduled to close in or estimated to want to close in September, but I have nothing in November, December. Okay, I know I'm light. I can take on more clients for that timeline. Um, or if like I've got 2 coming up in like, oh, July, August, and then these in September, I can just see where there's holes or where there's concentrations. And
And so
obviously
if you
it's
if you see
moving
a
and working.
hole, what do you do?
Well, I just know that there's a hole.
Yeah.
I keep with my habits of just, okay, you keep prospecting because you don't want it to go like this.
Yeah.
And so if you keep your habits going, then it'll fill in. It should fill in on it on its own.
Yes. I mean that's part of the big know your numbers myth is there are people that are like, I know my numbers. My numbers suck. I'm very well acquainted with them. And it's like, okay, well, if you know your numbers and your numbers are anything but ideal, it should inform some action. And that's what I want to talk about on today's call is the not only the strategy of just know your numbers, but the strategy of making great decisions with good information. Okay, we're going to specifically talk today about sales information, data, active, pending, coming soon, buy side, sell side, average commission rate, average days on market, average price point. Okay, so if you know those numbers and you see something's off, hopefully you can know where to put in the work instead of just like always prospect more. That's almost always a good idea, right? Just whenever in doubt, add some more clients, set some more appointments. Whenever in doubt of team-wide production, probably do a little bit of recruiting. But if you know your numbers well enough, the strategy here is like a know your numbers incrementally. So to use Mari's example, closings, pendings, actives, okay? Actives with an estimated date of when I think they might do something. And then you might add another column of prospects or coming soon or maybes or whatever. And that one, you're not going to trust those dates as well, but that might still be like these people are 6-ish months before they want to do something, 90 days, 2 years, whatever. You might see those gaps and then say, okay, that's a gap I want to fill. I know I'm going to need a bunch more opportunities in Q4. What could I be doing today that's most likely to drive Q4 business? Another way to think about this is if you're saying, look, my call numbers are solid. I'm getting enough calls in. My appointment numbers are down. My appointment to client ratio is excellent. My client to closing ratio is excellent. So what would I work on in that situation? Real question I'm asking you guys. What would you work on in that situation?
Probably like make sure you got the right scripts or just
Yeah, my problem is I'm not converting enough on the phone.
okay.
Calls are good, appointments are down, but appointment to client is good, client to closing is good. My problem is on calls to appointments. So now I'm going to look at, hopefully I have more data or memory of my experience at least, but I'm going to go, okay, what is the problem? What's my contact rate? Is my contact rate good? And now I know my problem is what I'm saying on the phone. I'm contacting people, but I'm not setting appointments. Or is my contact rate poor and my appointments are good? So my problem is calls to contacts. What time of day am I calling? Am I calling good phone numbers? What phone number am I calling from? Am I texting? Am I emailing? Am I a contact in their phone already? Is there another way I can, so my point is, what data do we have and what can it tell us? And then what do we do with the data and what the data is telling us, right? So again, this is not going to be a call about everybody nerd out on your data, although you should do that at regular intervals. But this is about what data should we have and what should we do with it. So if you're a team leader, this is the information you want to be providing to your team members. And I'll whisper this part, whether they want it or not. Here's the thing though, real A players want it. It doesn't mean they enjoy talking about it. It doesn't mean they enjoy spending time on spreadsheets, but they want to know, how do I win? What is causing me to miss? What do I have to do to win? What do I have to do to hit my goals? If you're telling me that I'm just calling at the wrong time and I don't need to change anything else, I'm glad. I want to know that. I don't like hearing you tell me my appointment numbers aren't good because I'm a competitive person, but I really want you to be able to tell me how to fix it. So if you tell me, hey, your calls are good, your contacts suck, everything after that's actually going pretty well, this is what we need to solve, is the gap between calls and contacts. And from what I can tell, it's either the time of day you're calling or the phone number you're calling from. So we have 5 digital phone numbers. I want you to start trying each one, and we'll track that data and we'll see if contact rates are higher based on the numbers. If that doesn't work, we're going to change the time of day we're calling, and we're going to track that for 30 days, and then we're going to see if our numbers go back up. And if not, we'll keep looking and we'll find something else to try. That's what A players want. Now, if you're not a team leader and you're only worried about this for yourself, it's even harder, because it's harder to get accurate data on just you because you think you already know. You're like, I know what it is. I make the calls. I know it. Right now, the problem is interest rates. Everybody says it's interest rate, but you're probably missing out on something along that route. Number of calls, number of texts, number of emails, contact rate, contact to appointment ratio, appointment set to appointment kept ratio, kept to converted, converted to executed, executed to closed and funded. All those little intervals are data points that you can go, oh, okay, I know what to work on. Instead of just always having to do more, or always working on new leads, or always working on commission. It might just be that you need to call 1 hour later or 1 hour earlier, or you need to send a text before you call. Am I making sense for anybody here?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. So
Mhm.
who feels like you're tracking some numbers or you know some numbers, but maybe you don't have the right amount of data to make good decisions?
I'm going to say me.
Okay. Then
Yeah.
Steph, all you need to do is get with
Yeah.
Ian and make sure you're
Yeah.
entering all your data into CTE so we can look at it daily, weekly, monthly.
Yeah, I don't
And
think I have that.
yeah, he can get that with you
Okay.
tomorrow. But that's where we're able to track calls to contact, contact to appointment, appointments to clients, clients to
Okay.
closings, closings to dollars, average commission rate, average price point. We're able to then sort and sift average price point based on zip code. Like, where are we most successful? Where are we wasting our time? I've always said we don't track our data well enough for this. We just don't. I wish we did, but I'd like to get us there. I want to know Matt converts listings best on Tuesday in the first half of the day. And Mari's best on Fridays in the second half of the day. So if a client is saying, I need to meet early Tuesday, we're going to check our list and go, okay, set that for Matt.
Mhm.
No one really knows why. We just know he does. He's untouchable first half of a Tuesday. It's like whatever the rhythm of his life and his week is, he can't be beat, right? And Friday afternoons, no one's better than Mari. But let's not ask Mari to go do appointments when she's got like a 12% conversion rate for whatever reason. Now, we don't have that level of data, but we could. We could if we tracked every single thing. And I'm not saying you have to track every possible thing, but imagine if your data was that good and you knew when to set appointments based on how well your team or you converted. Imagine how efficient you could be with your business. By the way, the same is true for when you generate leads. If you're running a pay-per-click campaign, you might say, I don't even want to run ads on Monday because we never set appointments on Monday. We just historically, we don't convert well on Monday. I don't know if it's us or the market or whatever, but we're not even going to try to do that anymore. So I'm just making some of that stuff up. Don't trust that. I'm just using those as an example. But how many of you feel like you have really, really good data and you're able to make excellent decisions with it right now? Fernando, let me ask you a couple of questions. As you're adding a couple of new team members, what are you tracking with them right now?
Well, right now I'm just focusing on the amount of leads that they can handle. So, for example, Kevin, it's about my age, 61, 2, something like that. So I told him, look, I have a bunch of leads in the 55 and over communities. So let's get you started there. And that's where he's, working. So I put about 100 leads on his CRM, and he's slowly sifting through them. And one of those, the listing that we have came out of that, right? So he's already seeing results. Jason, the other guy who kept asking you questions yesterday, he's going to focus on another market. And so I'm getting him some new leads there. Right now, he's working leads in my area, which is where I focus because that's where I have. So right now with him, I'm just kind of seeing how he's doing. He's awesome at making the phone calls, taking notes, very descriptive notes. And so, yeah, we're just kind of getting started. So I really don't have enough of a time frame to say, well, this is where, you're lacking or, you're doing this or that.
Yeah, but what data is he tracking or what are you tracking for him?
So for Jason right now, I'm just, like I said, I got him working the leads that I have in my area. So I'm looking at, the type of calls he's making, when he's making them, because I noticed that he is making phone calls in the morning and then he hits them again in the evening. So I'm seeing the frequency. He's really good at that.
So I would ask him at a minimum to track number of calls per day,
Okay.
number of contacts, and you can define a contact for him. Like if you get hung up on, that's not a contact. A contact is we had like at least some sort of substantive talk, even if it was like we're 2 years out. That's okay. That's a contact. Calls, contacts, appointments set. And then it gets really easy after that, like appointments kept, like they actually happened, clients signed, closings, dollars. Okay, so the ones you're going to track every day are calls, contacts, appointments set, appointments kept. Closings and dollars are easy. But my point is, you want to know, okay, you made 52 calls today and you only talked to 4 people. That's a low contact rate. So who are you calling and when and why? Okay, you made 400 calls today and you talked to 60 people. Okay, that's a pretty good contact rate. What list were you calling and when and where and how many appointments did you set off of the 60 conversations? 1. Okay, that's pretty low. 1 out of 60. What was that all about? So all that to say, the more of that you get regularly, you'll be able to say, ooh, that was an anomaly, good or bad. What happened? Can we repeat that? Can we avoid that? But you'll also be able to start seeing his normal contact rate, his normal appointment rate, his normal appointments kept rate, his normal signing rate. And then you can coach and instruct and help and learn from that data. Now, right now we're talking about prospecting data. Earlier we were talking about pipeline and all that. So it's all of the above. But the point I'm trying to make today is not like you need to track, although you do. It's not prospect more, although that usually helps. It's, are you collecting the right data? And is it good enough for you to make great decisions with it? So the decisions you can make there, Fernando, are keep a guy, let a guy go, give him more of those leads or more of these leads, ask him to call more in the morning or more in the evening. Do I need to work on phone prospecting script or initial consultation language? Do we need to work on value stack or is it just on sales language? What part of the process is least effective that I can improve so that we can sign more clients, get more repeat, get more referrals, get more reviews, all of the above. Any questions really quickly, just while I bring up kind of an annoying topic, but one that can really unlock the business? Questions or comments real quick? Matt, I think this is important for you too, as you're going to start to have more agents and more locations. What is the consistent standard for data? We track this. This is how we evaluate it. This is how we respond to it.
I mean, for starters, it's just going to be tracking it in general, right?
Yep.
They're not track. I mean, they don't track anything. So that's going to be an initial I think I'm just going to have a whole separate CTE account for just there. And I'm going to try to, you know, start tracking as much as I can.
Yep. Yep. Incentivize or add it to a commitment where that stuff's got to happen. This is a conversation for everybody. Team member, manage your pipeline, manage your conversion numbers, team leaders, manage all those things, and team resources, ROI, expenditures, training, agent count, all those good things. For brokerage owners, typically this is not something they forget to do. It's something they sometimes overdo. So what is your experience here, Tim?
Sorry, Todd. So just came in a little late, but and I'm sorry about that. But we're talking, from what I'm gathering, we're talking about. I came in when Fernando was talking. We're talking about keeping track of what my agents are, how many times they're contacting their customers, or how
Yeah, the
clients.
the general topic for today is, do you know your numbers and do you know them well enough to make good decisions with your numbers? Right? So it's not
Yeah,
about what are all the things we need to track and what are we supposed to do with it, but the question is, do we have our numbers? Do we know them well enough to make business decisions based on them? So solo agent, do I know what I could invest in something? Do I know how much I'm going to make in the next 90 days? As a team, do I know where the system is weakest so we can improve it? Do I know why agents are not producing? Do I know why some agents are killing it? Do I know, should I increase or decrease that budget? Should we do more of this or less of that? As a brokerage,
Yeah.
often brokerages track everything, but they don't do anything with it.
Yeah, no, I've been really concentrating to do a better job of that. And I get weekly reports now from not only our accounting, but so I do weekly reports from accounting and our um, uh, looking at our CRM. And so, yes, I'm doing a better. It's a little overwhelming at times, but yes, I feel like I'm doing a better job of it just because of this group has been helping me with that.
So it sounds like you're gathering more data and you're looking at more data. Let me ask you
Yep.
this. What decisions are you making based on getting
Oh,
good information?
sure. So the reason I was late is because I had a meeting with Nick Carlton today that we had. Usually it falls on Mondays, and because of the holiday, we moved it to today. But yeah, so I mean, we dropped, for instance, on Brian's, we dropped all of his Zillow ads, just completely dropped Zillow over in Florida, and added it all to that budget over to Nick Carlton. We've uh, I've looked at dot loop, all of our agents. I know this really, but dot loops, all of our agents weren't using that. So we moved that. I quit all that and moved the money over to another contract, online contracts. But our SEO, I fired that, our old somebody we've been using for about 5 years, just because it felt like they weren't getting the results. They were just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over every year. And we went with a new SEO company. And he's asking me questions like, what are you seeing? What are you not seeing? What would you like to see from me? Something that I didn't get from the other company. They're just kind of doing their same routine over.
So you're obviously using the data to make business-wide decisions with
That's
budget and
correct.
things. How is you tracking that data affecting the success or failure of your individual agents?
I can tell you, well, I can for a fact. I have, and so we're talking about data. So I've been entering all of our past, for about the past 5 years, I've been entering all of my agents' commission checks, their years, what they've done into Claude. And Claude's been helping me pull up. So what it helps me do is I'm having one-on-one conversations with my agents now. I have a better understanding of with the help of Claude, I've been having a better understanding of what they've been selling, kind of where they've been lacking. And for instance, I've had about 6 agents that had really terrible years last year, and this year they have quadrupled their sales, and they're just like extremely happy. And they are just and so it's been helping me with that. Like, okay, here's where you're not doing, like, literally I had one guy he was so down, he didn't make had 2 sales last year and was so down. And I was able to take all that data, sit down with him, and just go over exactly what you're not doing. You're not listening to me. You say you are, but you're not. I can see it. And he literally just started taking my advice. And he's already, like I said, he's quadrupled his sales. And now he's just so much more happier. And you can tell he comes in the office with a little pep in his step, and he is out there trying to do even more. even more and even more. And
Yep.
so, yeah, I have been ever since I really started this. I just it's something I never wanted to do, but now that I'm doing it, I actually enjoy it.
Yeah, it's just power. I don't enjoy a spreadsheet, but I love a bottom line on a spreadsheet.
Mhm.
So those of you that didn't pick that up, Kelly commented, I love that you're using AI for that. That was going to be one of my final points today. And I'm not trying to tell anybody what you need to do or whatever, but I've been tinkering in our office with AI data analysis of just our basic, simple internal data. So like Tim said, take agent production, addresses, price points, commission, throw all of that in there, protect your data, but throw it all in there and ask for trends. What do you see? What do you notice? What would be, help me prioritize who to follow up with, but also what trends, positive or negative, can you find in Bob's production? Um, Based on Jeff's 8 past years of production, what would be wisest for him to focus on in the next 12 months? Little things like that. And some of it may be a waste of time and energy, but there's some really good analyses that can be done there. That's not the point of today's call, but that's certainly something you can do if you know you have good, reliable data. What are some other things that you all would like to be able to know or have better numbers on in your business right now? Like I mentioned earlier, I would literally like to know on what day of the week and what time of the day each individual agent converts best
Yeah.
and worst. And we would schedule appointments around that. We might even work, keep the team operational around those hours. Um, on a regular trend, I'd like to know what day and times people are attending open houses the most, when our phones ring the most. We have done some of that analysis. What else? What else would you like to know? What would be helpful to know? What are you tracking that's been really useful?
Mm.
What
Well,
something I'm working on is trying to figure out how our website conversion. So that is something I'm
Yeah, it's
got
tricky because
into
you can get
recently.
more data than you probably want. I definitely want to know where leads originally sourced from, but more and more and more in the modern world, they came from 5 things. They saw something, they heard something, they Googled us, then they ended up on the website, then they filled out a form and they might have called the office, right? What's the source? I don't know. I mean, you can track it back to the original source, but that may not be the thing that really motivated them to work with you. So that stuff does get harder the more you grow and the more you scale and the longer you do it. But it's specific to website. What I want to know is if somebody opts in or contacts us originally through the website. I consider that a web conversion. Now, a like a home search lead on the website is also a web conversion, but it's a little different because it's almost always paid traffic. So we're trying to separate those two from organic and paid as well. And our organic is definitely growing. Robert's doing a lot of work on our SEO and our AEO, kind of our AI, suggestibility. And he's doing a lot of it, but we're doing a lot of work on our direct question and answer content and the long tail questions that our ideal clients are asking. Chris has done a lot of good stuff on her website with that as well. So a lot of those things are data driven, but they're also pretty logical. So it's not like you have to be a, laboratory data analyst here. I'm just simply asking, do you think you have good enough information to make great business decisions with? And if not, what other information would you like to be gathering? How could we help each other really track that? Like David and Mari and Steph, I would love it if every one of you knew what your contact rate was. Like my personal contact rate over the long haul is I usually
terrible.
get I usually get a hold of about 12% of the people I call. My appointment rate is about 5%, 1 in 20. My appointment to client rate is about 80%. My client to closing rate is about 80%. Those numbers are really good because even if they're bad, you can say, my goal this month is to execute 4 contracts. I'm going to have to do this many calls. Now I can go do other things, and a call might mean a text or, or a
Right.
FaceTime or something. But if I just had to create that outcome and I actually know my personal numbers, then I can create the outcome without a lot of doubt. And then I can also know this is the weakest one of my numbers. So I know where to build skill, where to practice, where to learn to most significantly increase my overall conversion. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So if you don't know those numbers, those are easy to track. Calls, contacts, appointments, appointment set, appointment kept, client signed, closed, funded dollars. Very easy to track. What are some other things you would like to know in your business to be able to make great choices? If I was an agent, I
If I
would want
was
to
to,
know how profitable I am on different lead types, different sources. My average deal from a home search lead is 425. My average lead from closing from an open house is 565. Well, I'm going to do some more open houses. My average closing from sphere of influence is 725. Well, I'm going to work my sphere some more. I'm not going to abandon the other things, but I'm going to get more of the things I want more of. But I have to pay attention and track and then actually evaluate the information and take action on it to really know all.
One thing that we track is how many people are coming to our client events, the same ones every single year. But what we are not tracking is of those clients, how many are bringing somebody new to our events? Because we always encourage them if they have somebody that would fit well in our real estate family to bring them along, and they bring guests. But how many of those are they bringing, and are they creating transactions from them? So that
Yep.
would be something that would be super beneficial.
Yep. Especially the transaction piece. And then cross-referencing that data from your database using AI to do that is like, how many of the people that bought and sold a home with us in the last 5 years also attended a client event 12 months prior?
Yeah.
And then I would just say
Okay.
find similar data connections and suggest goals for me.
Perfect.
Like just imagine if you realized we spend hours and hours and hours on the phone every day with people that opt into the website. We spend minutes on the phone every week with people that email us, but we convert the emails 5 times more than the phone calls. I'm making this up. But if that was true, you'd be like, well, geez, forget the phone calls.
Yeah.
Let's be freaking super aggressive on the emails. Or let's see if we can be even more responsive. Now that's not likely to be true, but if it was true, you'd want to know and you'd want to do more of what's working, especially if it's easier. How many people opted out of our emails? How many of them still bought a house within 24 months of opting out of our emails? Man, people opting out of email might as well be opting out of our world. We need to be much more careful with our email. Like just having that information will be helpful. Now, we're getting into the weeds a little bit on that type of data, but generally speaking, the point of this call is to say to folks, do you have an idea of what's happening in your business? So I want to go back to kind of the first thing I said, and Mari responded to, which is like, do you have a good handle on your pipeline? Do you know exactly who's closed, who's pending, who's active, who's coming soon, and who's a better than a maybe? And timelines and estimated dates and estimated prices and estimated commissions so that you can know what your income, what your budget, where you need to put in more effort, where you don't need to put in more. Do you have an idea, a genuine idea, as detailed as possible of your pipeline? Yes or no?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
So for you, Steph, it's just We can show you how to do that within some of our technology, but you can start with a little whiteboard, or you can start with an Excel sheet. It's just
That's
signed, should sign, might sign,
I have that.
long term. You'll get more of
Yeah,
that as you
yeah,
get a little
yeah.
further down the
I
pipeline. But
did that. That I've started. So
yep.
it's just a little sparse though.
Yeah, well, it's early. It's early, but we're gonna jam it full really soon. And the dialer is your best friend right now, right? It's the biggest
I
lever you've got.
dial,
Is
I
I'm gonna
dial.
call hundreds and hundreds, and I'm gonna pre-record voicemails, and I'm gonna drop a ton of voicemails, and then I'm gonna follow up with some text messages. And
Like,
if
yeah.
anything's warm, I'll send a handwritten note and fill that pipeline. Do a bunch of open houses.
Yeah, I've actually got some scheduled. Well, I was going to do one today, but it was raining, so moving that to I'm doing one a week. So
Yep. 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 Good. 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 And your sphere of influence, of course.
yep.
All right. Who else? What else on knowing your numbers, having the right numbers tracked, and being able to make great decisions with it? Go ahead, Scott.
I'll go. I'm driving, so I'm pretty good at looking at my top line numbers. And by the way, I use Excel. So anyone who doesn't believe thinks you need a more robust CRM, I look at Excel. And so right now I know where I am sales wise, number of transactions, which is actually pretty high. The low average, it's a much lower average this year. I think that's where I need to do a little bit more digging in, but it goes back to my conversation that I want higher price points.
Yep.
Right now I have 7 pending. I'm a little overwhelmed. I have a closing today that took a kidney to get it done, but I may not want
Chris
any
didn't
more.
think that was funny. Chris didn't find that funny, Scott.
Did not find that funny. Oh my God, I can't wait to get rid of this person. Just anyway. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Chris could have had the kidney.
I'm
That's right.
pretty
Okay.
sure that Chris thought it was funny, but go ahead.
All right. Anyway, so business is good. However, the bottom line tracking of the sheet of number of calls, number of contacts, all of that's gone by the wayside just to service what I have going on. So I know what's coming in my Excel spreadsheet. I also use a whiteboard too, which I'm very visual. I juggle people from hot to warm up to the top. Sometimes they're hot, sometimes all of a sudden they're taking a year or something happens and they get floated to the bottom. So I can just see where the cream is rising, and then also if I have enough cream, and I'd say I don't know those numbers as well as I should, but I also have the gut motivation of like going, oh my gosh, I have 7 under contract right now. What's next? Because I feel like I don't have enough. But I am a numbers person, but as a single agent, sometimes things go by the wayside. So
yeah, no, you just did a pretty good job of giving kind of a holistic picture about how you're doing it, from Excel to whiteboard to hot to cold. What do I have now versus what do I have later? So I think generally speaking, that was a really good overall snapshot of how, an individual agent should do it. Now, what I would say to you as a, mini team or whatever you want to call yourself is I would have somebody else track some of that basic data for you. Even if you just text or Slack them the raw numbers and say, put all this on the spreadsheet for me every day. You could just do a quick voice to text recap or a Slack message or a text and have them organize it and just say, hey, every day at 6 p.m., I'm going to shoot you a note and you put it together and I want to report weekly. That's very, very simple, but most of us don't do it on our team. It's just getting your data into CTE so that you can see it. Obviously, we want to see it also to honor the expense and the investment we make in staff and leads and all this stuff. But for you to be able to go, look, what's the most efficient way for me to hit my goals? What's the quickest way to make another $50,000? What's the quickest way for me to, get over the hump here? So it doesn't have to be robust. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be complicated, but not knowing leads to poor decision making, leads to, allocating time, energy, and dollars poorly. And I think your system sounds fine, Scott. The only thing I heard is not tracking some of the smaller stuff, and you could get some help with that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things too is actually just by tracking what I look at, our last mastermind, I said, hey, I have so much not selling. Like I think almost all of that is sold. And
Yeah.
from looking at my numbers, I really think the change there was I wasn't having enough price reduction conversations, and I think that was in my head where I kind of felt the things were where the market was, but I was wrong. And
Yep.
so I just went back to the premise of, hey, if we're not getting showings, if we haven't had a price reduction in a month or whatever. And I just started to hit them. And I really believe, we got down to market price where I think I was, I'm looking at the numbers from the boards as to where things are and all of that, but yeah, my numbers were just different, and so once I got better with having price conversations and maybe getting better with them, things started to happen by just looking at these things just freaking sitting there. So
Yeah. I love a good after mastermind implementation that totally changes your quarter, Uh, and that's the value of just saying it out loud and seeing it a little differently and making the adjustment and 7 pending. So beautiful. Any other thoughts or questions or shares or comments just about knowing your numbers, knowing the right data, tracking the right data so you can make excellent decisions? And by the way, I mean, today, Tim's talked about, cost saving decisions, better tools and resources decisions. People have talked about allocating their time, price reductions, um, adding a lead source, getting rid of a lead source, doing more of this and less of that, knowing where to learn and grow and train and practice and skill build and role play, better scripting. It could be different for all people, which is why you have to know your numbers. Questions, comments, shares on the topic?
I have a question. Do
Yep.
How many people, or does anybody here, how much time did anybody spend like on their social media presence? I know that anybody, do you feel it is helpful, not helpful, used to do it, don't do it as much, don't bother with it?
I could
The
speak to
whole,
that.
yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
So my goal is 3 videos a week,
Okay.
and it's probably taken me like 6 months or so, but I finally did get a listing that came directly from this guy. I've never met him in person, but he
Okay.
sees me on Facebook. And he made a comment, said, I love how confident you are in your videos, and I need you to come help my mother-in-law sell her house.
Okay.
So that's my photo appointment tomorrow.
All right, Kelly, can you send me your Facebook link so I can take a look and spy on you for a bit?
Sure. And they're not all about
That's
real
Yeah,
estate. Some of them are just
exactly.
personal,
That's
and
what
I'm
I've been
sharing
told.
my
And
life.
right,
Okay.
exactly. And that's exactly what I've been told. So I just want to see kind of what you.
Yeah, I'll,
Courtney's been great about giving me stuff and things to say, how to kind of go approach it and things like that. But it would be nice to kind of see. And of course, I can always look at other people's and stuff like that. But I feel like every time I look up something on there, it's always all about real estate. So I would like to see what somebody else
yeah.
is.
Couple
Thank
things
you.
I'll tell you, Steph, is
Thank.
you don't need to go brand build. You don't need to
Yeah.
go be the most
Yeah.
clever market update
Yeah.
person. You just need to let people
Yeah.
see you and remind them
Yeah.
you do real estate. But you
Yeah.
also want to go check Scott's social. He's done a bunch of good posting and a bunch of good videos. Scott
Mhm.
Hansen. Tim's starting to do a lot more, and he's kind of advocating for their community and, of course, their brokerage and some of their inventory. Matt does a bunch of stuff: food, travel,
Mhm.
local happenings, local school
Yeah.
related
Yeah.
stuff. Everybody's different. So there
Yeah.
is no one formula. I'll
Yeah.
tell you what the secret is. Let people see who you are all the time. Now, I don't do that well
Yeah.
anymore. I used to do
Do
it
you know
really
Courtney?
well, and I don't do it that well
Yeah.
anymore. So I know I could turn it
Yeah.
up if that was a top priority
Yeah.
for me. But
Yeah.
um,
And that's exactly what Courtney told me, because I showed her and Robert like a whole thing that I had like put together from like my corporate days of doing stuff like that. And I got a schedule and it looks fantastic. And they're like, you just need to be you.
yeah.
I'm
But
like,
go see what all
yeah,
these people are
I will.
doing so you can see that it's not the same.
Yeah. No,
I
I
think
will.
you could probably do a little bit more like Matt, probably more like Matt and Kelly.
Mhm.
Scott's had some help doing some really cool videos. Tim's doing some pretty professional looking stuff. Chris is doing some really cool stuff. Chris Griffith, and most of hers are um, not Coral Gables. What is she doing mostly lately? Y'all help me out. Um,
Bonita Springs.
Bonita Springs.
Bonita, yeah, Bonita. I mean, I know that that's her market, but I was trying to remember what part of her market she had done the snarky videos on lately. I think they're all in Bonita. Life in Bonita Springs is kind of her brand on that. But
People just need to see you and get to know you.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest misconception is, and I hear this from realtors in my market who are very successful, and they will not get on video. Like, well, I don't look good, or I don't like the way I look. I'm like, the way you look is why you're successful. Like, people like you. Like, don't like, sure, there's gonna be people that don't like you, but that's not the people you want to work with then, right? So
Yeah.
don't overthink it. Just right, think of stuff that you already enjoy doing, going to, attending, and just make videos about it. Like, you're already there.
Yep.
So to me, I don't ever like making it feel like I have to go and make content. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm at the farmer's market. I'll make content. I'm already here. Like, it's part of what I'm doing.
Okay.
what were you going to say,
Thank you.
Tim?
And don't stress out. I used to really stress out like on what will get a lot of views and what won't. You never know. I mean, I posted videos before, and I do them for our company, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I posted videos before, and it's like, man, I thought that was a good video, didn't get much traction, and then I posted something Friday, and I didn't think much of it. And this was Friday, and we've had 20,000 views, and I got 62 new followers off of it. I mean, like,
Oh,
what?
wow.
So it's just like I have no. I'm like,
Listen, walking
yeah,
around in your underwear will do that, Tim. Now
right,
keep it classy.
so,
With the floaty on, right?
right, exactly.
All right, party people,
Okay,
final
thank you.
thoughts and comments on knowing your numbers, which numbers are critical in making great decisions with it. This applies to agents, team leaders, brokers, everybody. If you're just hoping you have enough and you're hoping when you're finished being really busy now, you stay really busy later, that's dumb. That's unintelligent. That's unprofessional. The people that depend on you should stop depending on you because you're a bum. And I'm being a little aggressive here, of course. I'm just saying if you're just hoping and winging it, that's poor business. You should at least have an idea of your pipeline. You should at least have an idea of the part of your business you need to work on the most, and you should at least be doing something about it. So if you're like, I'm just not very good at setting appointments, work on setting appointments. If you're setting appointments, but you're not signing clients, you should be working on your initial consultation. If you're getting a lot of clients, but tons of your contracts are falling out, you should be working on keeping deals together. And this is a place you can work on those things. So get out there and sell some houses. Never, ever forget all these strategies work. All the numbers are helpful. But if all else fails, love on your clients. I don't mean be a nice girl or a nice boy. I mean, genuinely care for and go out of your way to add value in the life of your people. And then all this other stuff gets a little easier, a little more fun, and a little bit more rewarding. So I'll talk to you guys next week. And holler at us if you need something. Otherwise, over and